What is the mission? What is the goal? What is the end game that they want to accomplish? Is it revenue? Is it bringing back manufacturing jobs? Is it reducing the trade deficit? Is it national security? It's all the above. And the problem is we just draw on an insight by Jan Tinbergen, an old Dutch economist who won the Nobel Prize many years ago. We're just saying if you have a policy target that you want to hit, you need an instrument that will do that. And the problem is tariffs can't achieve multiple objectives in this way without a lot of collateral damage. And so it's not clear what the administration wants to achieve first and foremost.
Doug Irwin, this morning I go to John Stuart Mill, 19th century early, and he's arguing about infant industries. It is as if President Trump wants to bring infant manufacturing back to America. Can he do that? Is there a policy success template to work off to bring infant manufacturing industry back to America?
Well, it's interesting you bring up John Stuart Mill because we're talking about the 19th century. And of course, he refers to William McKinley quite a bit, another 19th century president who imposed tariffs to try to keep industries here in the United States. You know, you can do it sometimes, but the cost can be very high. You know, many countries around the world try to reshore industries. So Argentina has a little bastion of manufacturing in Tierra del Fuego, of all places, that they've inculcated with tax subsidies and import tariffs. So you can reshore some industries, but the question is, at what price, at what cost to other sectors of the economy, and is it really worth it?
So, Professor, depending upon the day, the administration has different reasons for imposing tariffs, whether it's to, choke off drugs coming into the country or immigration, or some days it's trade deficits. I'm just not sure. But for trade deficits, let's just stick to the economics. If the U.S. runs a trade deficit with a particular country, is that inherently a problem? And if it is, do tariffs address that?
Well, generally, I mean, we can have a debate about whether reducing the trade deficit overall, not a particular bilateral balance, but the trade deficit overall is a good policy or not, or whether we should make that an objective. But let's say it is. Then the question, as you raise, is, are tariffs a way of achieving that? And generally not, because when you impose tariffs, the dollar is going to appreciate and imports may go down, but exports are going to be hit as well because of the appreciation of the dollar. In addition, there's foreign retaliation. So yes, import tariffs will reduce imports, but then foreign tariff retaliation is going to reduce U.S. exports. So what we try to point out is that, yes, there are policies that we can do as Americans to reduce the trade deficit. First and foremost, cut the fiscal deficit, because that is a big source of dissaving in the U.S. It's a big source of excess spending. And you might recall Marty Feldstein, way back in the 1980s, had the twin deficit hypothesis that the current account deficit is being driven in part by the fiscal deficit. And so that's one concrete thing we could do to end our reliance on foreign capital inflows and help balance our books on both sides in terms of the trade accounts and the fiscal accounts.
Do tariffs raise revenue for the U.S. government? Is that an efficient way to do that?
Well, it can, yes. So we get about 2% of the federal government's revenue today is raised through the tariff. But the idea that you could balance the budget or pay for tax cuts with a big increase in tariffs is really not going to work. And one of the problems is that imports are very sensitive to tariffs. So as you raise tariffs, the volume of imports is going to shrink. It's a tax base that's going to shrink and disappear the more you tax it. So that revenue is going to disappear. Once again, there's no alternative really to income and corporate taxes as a revenue-raising device for the U.S.